Hey everyone, so welcome to my playlist on single variable calculus. Today we are going to see how to plot graph of an explicit function. So regarding this graph, I am going to split my lecture into two parts. So in this lecture we will see how to draw graph of an explicit function where the function is explicitly given to you. And in the next lecture I will tell you that how to roughly sketch a graph of a function when the function is not given but some other information regarding the function is given to you. But that we will see in the next lecture, otherwise this lecture will become very long. So first of all, today we will see what do you mean by implicit and explicit functions. Then I will tell you some steps. There are some 7 or 8 steps that one should keep in mind while sketching the graph of a function. And then I will take 2 examples, one polynomial and one rational function. So this will cover all of the things that we have studied till now. So like from lecture 1 to lecture I think 17, all those lectures that we have studied till now, those are my arms and ammunition for this lecture. Okay, so before starting the graph thing, see usually there are many categorization of a function, but one of the categorization is they can be divided into implicit functions and the explicit functions. Well, the name itself is very clear. So if you have a function, suppose if you have y minus x square plus 2x equal to 0. If you are able to express your y in terms of x, then such functions are called as explicit function. That means you can explicitly write your dependent variable in terms of independent variables. Implicit means what? You cannot separate your independent and dependent variable. For example, if I take y square plus sine of xy plus xy cube equal to say 14. Now here is difficult to write what is my y equal to. Okay, my y is a dependent variable, y is depending on x. But here I am not able to write what is y equal to. So such kind of functions comes under the category of implicit functions. You cannot separate your independent and the dependent variables. So we will play with the good functions. Then if you have explicit functions, then how to draw the graph. So now whenever you have such a thing, trust me, you follow those 7 to 8 steps, you will definitely able to sketch at least the rough graph of the function. And once you have the rough graph, you can verify your answer using GeoGebra software. That I have already told in my last lectures how to use GeoGebra if you want to find the graph of a function. Okay, so now let me write down those steps and then we will jump to examples. So these are the 8 steps that one has to follow. First, you find the derivative, then you find the critical points. That means equate the derivative equal to 0 or the points where it is not defined. Then use these 2 things to draw the table of increasing and decreasing. How to do that? I have already done in my lecture on increasing decreasing function. You can have a look. Then you find f double dash and then equate it to 0. And then using those points where f double dash is 0, you draw the table for finding inflection points and concavity. One more thing, usually students have habit that what they do is they take f double dash equal to 0 or not defined, and whichever x they get, they say that at there we are having the inflection points. No, that is not the case. If there is an inflection point, then the double derivative is 0 or not defined. Converse is not true. I have given plenty of examples in my lecture on inflection points. So make sure you see that if you have a confusion in this. Okay, then you draw the table for this. Then you combine these 2 tables, 3 and 5. You combine these 2 tables and that it will help us to sketch the graph. At the end, find the asymptotes if any. Usually for rational functions you will have the asymptotes. For polynomials usually you will never find the asymptotes. So for rational functions, do find the asymptotes and then finally sketch the graph. So these are the steps that one has to follow. Now let's go for the example. Okay, so now let's try to draw the graph of this biquadratic polynomial. Okay, so till now you don't know how to do this, but now thanks to the derivatives we can sketch the graph of these functions. Okay, such kind of functions. So the first step is you find the derivative. Okay, good. This is the derivative. Find the derivative, equate it to 0. Usually people have habit that they simply ignore this 4x square and they write x equal to 3. Okay, don't just simply cut x square. Okay, so you have to take out that x square outside, and then product is 0 means one of them has to be 0. So either x square is 0 means x is 0, and here x is 3. One more thing one can observe, x square is 0 means x is becoming 0 2 times. So like the algebraic multiplicity for 0 is 2. Okay, so that's one thing one can observe, but it's okay. Okay, now what is the third step? You have to draw the table for increasing and decreasing nature, okay, of the function. So first row will be intervals. So this critical points helps you to find the intervals. So you split at the intervals, and this is what you have. Okay, now here the domain is not given. So whenever the domain is not given, you have to find the domain, and in this scenario it is complete real number can be the domain, and that's why I am going from minus infinity to infinity. If someone says sketch the graph over the interval minus 10 to 100, then here the least point will be minus 10 and here it will be 100. So you have to keep care of those things. Okay, now you see the sign of f dash, because we know that sign of f dash help us to know the increasing and the decreasing nature of the function. So you take any number over here, say minus 1. If I take minus 1, this is 12 and this is plus 4, so the sign is positive. If you take 1, so again 12 minus 4, so again you are getting positive. If you take 4 over here, then you will get negative. So from here you can say whether your f is increasing or decreasing. So here plus means increasing, decreasing. So this is what the nature is over these intervals. Okay, now once you have this, okay, now what is the fourth step? You find y double dash. What is my y double dash? It will be 24x minus 12x square. Now again you equate it to 0. So y double dash equal to 0 implies what? You can take out 12x common. You have 2 minus x equal to 0. So this implies x equal to 0 or 2. I hope my calculations are correct. Yeah. Okay, that's good. So this is what we have. Now, okay, one more thing, observe f dash is 0 at 0, but do we have maxima or minima at 0? Local maxima or local minima? No, because f dash is not changing the sign. So therefore by first derivative test for local extreme values, again I mean whatever phrase I am using, if it is not clear, please see my earlier lectures. So here there is no change in sign, therefore at 0 you are having neither local maxima nor local minima. And what can you say about 3? It is increasing and decreasing. That means we will have the maxima at 3. Okay, that's just an observation one has to do. Now once we have this, what do? You draw the table for concavity. So I am erasing this. So yeah, let me keep the function. So yeah, keep this in mind, increasing, decreasing. Okay, so we will need this when we need to combine the table. So now the fifth step is you have to draw the table for concavity. So the first thing will be intervals, and then here we have 0 and 2. So minus infinity to 0, 0 to 2 and 2 to infinity. Then you should know the sign of f double prime, and once you have the sign of f double prime, you can say whether f is concave up or concave down. Now what is f double dash? This is my f double dash. You take say number minus 1. If I take minus 1, this is minus 24 plus 12, this is negative. You take 1, you get positive. Suppose if I take 3, then again I get positive. So it is down, up, up. So this is the table for concavity. So at 0, do I have inflection point? Yes, because concavity is getting changed. At 2, do I have inflection points? No, 2 is not an inflection point. Why? Because it is up and up, concavity is not changing. Okay, so that's why I said usually people have a habit, they simply do f double dash equal to 0 and they say that at 0 comma f of 0 and at 2 comma f of 2 we have inflection point. No, that's not the case. This gives us the point where we need to check concavity. So you are not required to check on whole real numbers, only check at 0 and 2. Okay, cool. Now what is the next step? We have to combine the table. So first will be interval. So what were the points? For inflection points, I think we had 0. For critical points, we had 0 and 3. And f double dash was 0 at 0 and 2. So we have to take these points. So our interval will be minus infinity to 0, then 0 to 2, then 2 to 3, and then 3 to infinity. and then whether your function is increasing or decreasing and whether your function is up or down. Okay, what was the table for f increasing? It was increasing, increasing, decreasing, right? So like this was increasing from, sorry, here it is 2 to 3. From 0 to 3 also it was increasing. So 0 to 2 is increasing, 2 to 3 is increasing, and from 3 to infinity it was decreasing. What about concavity? Minus infinity to 0 down, 0 to 2 up, 2 to infinity up. So 2 to 3 and 3 to infinity up, up. Good. Do we have asymptotes? No. As x goes to infinity, your function goes to infinity. Your function, so as x approaches a number, your function will never go to infinity. So no horizontal, no vertical. It's not a rational function, no oblique asymptote. So no asymptotes. So as I said earlier, whenever you have polynomials, you won't get asymptotes. Okay, now keep this in mind. Increasing, 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 and then decreasing. Okay. So I need to find the value of the function at 0, 2 and 3. Okay, so we will find f of 0, f of 2 and f of 3, and then we will sketch the function. Okay. Oh my god, what was the function? I think 4x cube minus x raised to 4. Okay, at 0, what is f of 0? It is 0 only. So this is 0 comma 0. Then it was 2. So what is f of 2? 2 2s are 4, 4 2s are 8, 8 4s are 32. 32 minus, what is 2 raised to 4? 16. So it is 16. So this is my 2 comma 16. And then 3. 3 3s are 9, 9 3s are 27. 3 raised to 4 is 81. 27 4s are, okay, something. So you have something point over here. 3 comma f of 3. I don't know, you can do the calculation, not an issue. Okay, now from minus infinity to 0, it was increasing and it was concave down, right? So something like this. And see, 2 was coming twice, so it will be kind of little bit of like horizontal over here. Okay, you will realize that suppose if 0 it is coming 3 times at, I mean, when the derivative is becoming 0 at 0 3 times, means x cube. That means the graph will be much more horizontal over here. If it is becoming 0 only once, then it will go like this. Or decreasing or increasing, whatever. Suppose it is becoming 0 7 times, so you will have much more horizontal graph at 0. Like, it's not touching everywhere, it's touching only at 0, but it will be very close to x-axis. So even this algebraic multiplicities help us to draw the graph nicely. So this will be like this, like, okay. Now then from there it was increasing and it was concave up, I think, okay. And then it was increasing and concave down, I think. And it was decreasing and concave down, I think. I hope I am right. So as we saw that at 0 is increasing, so f dash is not changing the sign, therefore no maxima, no minima. At 0 we have inflection point, yes, because it is changing from down to up. Okay, at 2 do we have inflection point? Oh, I think here also it was up only, I think, if I am not wrong. So this was like this, and yeah, so it's up only. You have to be a bit careful. And then here it was down. So at 2 is not an inflection point because concavity is not changing, it's up only. And here it was, yeah, down. So yeah, this is how the rough sketch of your graph looks like. So at the start you were not knowing the graph of this, and now you know this is the graph. And here you can see, here it is the inflection point. Here you can see this is the topmost. So you can say this is absolute maxima. What is the maximum value of the function? F of 3. Does the minimum value exist? No, it is going to minus infinity. So yeah, that's how you are supposed to draw the graph of the function. Now let's go for the rational function. But you can verify this using GeoGebra. Okay. So yeah, let's go for the next example. So consider this as a function minus of x square minus 2 upon x square minus 1. Okay. So now just to save your time, I have wrote down f dash and f double dash. You can verify. And domain is not given. So what will be the domain over here? As you can see that at plus and minus 1, your function is not defined. So your domain will be this. Minus infinity to minus 1, union minus 1 to 1, union 1 to infinity. Or if you want to write in much more shortcut, whole real numbers except 1 and minus 1. That is another shortcut, but it's good to write in terms of union. Okay, now what is the second step? The second step is you equate y dash equal to 0. So when this is 0, when the fraction is 0, when the numerator is 0. So when your minus 2x is 0, when your x is 0. When is your y dash not defined? It is not defined when the denominator is 0. When is the denominator 0? X equal to plus minus 1. So your critical points will be x equal to 0, only 0. Okay, no plus minus 1. Why? Because it has to be a part of the domain. Is 1 and minus 1 part of the domain? No. Okay, so don't just be in a hurry and don't say, okay, 0, 1, minus 1 are the critical points. Only 0 is the critical point because 0 is the interior point of the domain. Whereas 1 and minus 1 are not in the domain, so they are not the critical points. Okay, good. Then, okay, so what I will do now, I will combine the table directly because now we are expert. So let me combine. So for that, I will also know when is your y double dash 0. So fraction is 0 when the numerator is 0. 0, no. X square is positive, 3 is positive, so this is always positive. So numerator is never 0. So therefore your y dash is never 0. At which points y double dash is not defined? Again at plus minus 1. But are there points in the domain? No. So no points over here. Okay. So now, so you have to actually make the table for increasing, decreasing concavity. But I am directly combining the table. So I will draw the interval. I will take the points from the domain, from the critical points, and from the points where y double dash is 0 or not defined. So which points do I have? I have x equal to 0. From here I am not getting any points, and minus 1 and 1 is not in the domain. So it will be like minus infinity to minus 1, minus 1 to 0, 0 to 1, 1 to infinity. Many people have habit of writing minus infinity to 0 and 0 to infinity. No, you should also include minus 1 and 1 because they are not in the domain. So you can't say minus infinity to 0 because at minus 1 the function is not defined. Okay, so you have to take care of these points as well. Okay, then what do we need? I need to see whether f is increasing or decreasing, and then I need to see whether f is concave up or concave down. Okay, when I am over here, suppose if I take minus 2, what is the sign of this? This is always positive, so I have to only look the numerator. So if I take minus 2, this is positive. Positive means increasing. If I take minus half, again positive, so increasing. And if I take positive, this is decreasing and decreasing. Up and down. If I take minus 2, numerator is always positive, and if I take minus 2 over here, so this is positive, so it is concave up. If I take minus half, this is always positive. 1 by 4 minus 1 is negative, so this is down. If I take plus half, this is negative, so down. And if I take 2 over here, then this is up. If you're not sure, you can pause the video and check the signs. Okay, good. Okay, I should also find the asymptotes. It's a rational function, so be careful, you need to find asymptotes. So keep this in mind: increasing, increasing, decreasing, decreasing, up, down, down, up. Okay, so keep this in mind. Okay, now we need to find the asymptotes. We need to find the horizontal and the vertical asymptotes. So what do you do for horizontal asymptotes? We saw in the last lecture. For horizontal, you always take x going to plus minus infinity. Now where the degrees are same, you can take out x square common. So what is left? Minus will be there. So when you take out x square common, you have 1 minus 2 upon x square, 1 minus 1 upon x square, right? So as x goes to infinity, limit x going to infinity, this is 0, so minus 1. And similarly for this also, minus infinity also, you get minus 1. So therefore you have only one horizontal asymptote, which is nothing but y equal to minus 1. When you get vertical, when your function goes to plus minus infinity. So can you give me point my x should approach so that you get plus minus infinity? Yes, when you approach to 1 or when you also approach to minus 1, your denominator becomes 0. So therefore 1, so x equal to 1 and x equal to minus 1 are your vertical asymptotes. So horizontal and vertical. Do you have any oblique asymptote? No, because the degree of numerator is not 1 plus the degree of denominator. So no oblique asymptote. Okay, good. So now we have sufficient information to sketch the graph of the function. So you draw your xy axis, you find the value of the function at those nice points. So which nice points we got? We only got x equal to 0. For y double dash we did not got any point equal to 0 or not defined. For critical point we got only x equal to 0. So what is f of 0? When my x is 0, my y is minus 2. Okay, good. So this is my 0 comma minus 2. Minus 1 and 1 are my vertical asymptotes. Okay, so this is my x equal to minus 1 and x equal to 1. What was our horizontal asymptote? It was minus 1, right? So this is my horizontal asymptote. Minus 1. Y equal to minus 1 is my horizontal asymptote. Okay, good. Now let's start. From minus infinity to minus 1, what was the scenario? Yeah, I forgot. It was, yeah, so I just saw, so it was increasing and it was concave up. So from minus infinity to minus 1 is increasing and concave up. So it's increasing and concave up. And here it will come closer and closer to this line. So it will go towards infinity as I am coming closer and closer to minus infinity, minus 1. Now here, say I know that y equal to minus 1 is the horizontal asymptote. So it will be like this. And as you go towards infinity, how this will behave? I mean, this will actually come closer and closer to this line. Okay, so at infinity, this will be closer to this line. So you can, so that's the importance of asymptote. You know that it will come closer to x equal to minus 1. And as you go towards minus infinity, your graph will come closer and closer towards y equal to minus 1 line. Good. Then from minus 1 to minus 0 it was increasing, and so here also it was increasing. Here also it's increasing and concave down, and at 0 it is passing through this point. So it's increasing and concave down. Okay, and it's coming closer and closer to x equal to minus 1. Then it's decreasing and concave down. So decreasing and concave down. See, there's the plus point of asymptote. You know that at infinity it is coming closer to this line. If you don't know asymptote, what you will do? You will simply draw like this, right? Because you don't know it is coming to this line or not. So with f dash, you know it's decreasing. With concavity and f dash, means f and f dash, you know it is decreasing but it is concave down. With increasing, decreasing, concavity and asymptote, we know that this is the how it looks like. So see, more the information, more nicer the graph is. And finally at the end we are having decreasing and concave up. So again the same thing. So that's the graph of the function. Here you are having local maxima. Okay, no absolute maxima, no absolute minima. You have only local maxima. So I hope the graph of this function is clear. Now here there was no oblique asymptote, but in the last lecture I think I took one example, y is equal to x square upon x minus 1. We found the oblique asymptote for this function. So what to do is now we try to draw the graph for this function. That's the homework for you. So yeah, so once you have an explicit function, this is how you are supposed to sketch the graph. If you have any doubt, you can ask me in the comment section, and if you enjoyed the lecture, then do not forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you.